Hi, I'm Russ McCollister, and today I am fishing Lookout Point Reservoir for smallmouth bass. I am fishing on pre-spawn conditions. I am fishing with a black and chrome crankbait with a moderately fast retrieve. The water temperature is 55 to 58 degrees. I am spot locking in 30 feet of water, casting at the bank. I have chosen a black and chrome crankbait because it mimics several of the bait fish that are available in the lake to smallmouth. Lookout Point Reservoir has really dramatic reservoir drawdowns, so I believe there are not very many crawdads that live in the lake. There are, however, juvenile crappie, juvenile bluegill, juvenile suckers, and red-side shiners. I am targeting areas that have a steep rocky bank that transitions to a soft mud bottom on either side. I am also fishing a shallow stump flat and end up catching a couple of largemouth, which I thought were almost gone from the lake due to the reservoir drawdowns. I also pay attention to mud lines created by the wind. Sometimes these mud lines create a perfect ambush spot for bass. Anytime I fish big water, I always look at a bathymetric map. A bathymetric map is a map of the contours of the lake bottom. What I am looking for specifically on this reservoir are the shallow areas or shoals. Almost all of the fish will be around these areas. They're around these areas because that's where most of the food is naturally. I prefer to fish Lookout Reservoir very early in the morning or late in the evening. That being said, I have had no trouble catching smallmouth here during the middle of the day. I have caught some very large smallmouth and very large largemouth, but for the most part, I consider this a predominantly smallmouth fishery with what I consider to be medium-sized smallmouth bass. Baits or lures other than crankbaits that I have had good success with are a classic 3-inch chartreuse or white grub, Senkos and watermelon or a blue watermelon or blue flake color, topwater baits such as a Zara Spook. While we're talking about lures and lure selection, I have a certain pattern that I like to start with. I always like a reaction type bait or a bait that can cover water, so crankbaits, topwater. Once I catch a fish, I usually like to throw a different style bait on the area that I have just caught a fish, because there's usually more than one smallmouth hanging out on a piece of structure. After I've gone about 10 casts without a fish or a strike, then it's time to move on and find another pod of fish. Big number days are possible here as well as big fish. Unfortunately, the only boat launch usually available is the boat launch at Signal Point. This is definitely in an area that you want to make sure that your truck is locked and nothing of value is visible. You should also be aware that occasionally this lake hosts a tournament and has unusually high traffic on tournament days. Once again, thanks for watching my video and tight lines.